Greetings, everyone. Thanks for coming. You're in the Key Components to Successful Fundraising Session 1. It's all about the messaging. This is the first workshop of 2. The second workshop will take place on October 7th. Completely different information on that one, and you don't have to be signed up for both. So welcome. It is 9:04. Just wanted to let everyone know that this workshop is being recorded, and we're recording now. Do you want to wait one more minute, Roxanne? Okay. I'm Georgie Nickram, by the way. I'm the Capacity Building Program Manager at Best Starts for Kids. Thanks again for coming.
Georgie, it's good to see your face.
Great to see your face too, Tanya. I love your hat.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So happy that you're all here. We've really been looking forward to this. Georgie, thanks for the introduction. My name is Roxanne Hood-Lyons. I'm part of the RHL Consulting team. And the way that this workshop came about was that we were seeing in our consulting a request, a reoccurring and kind of galloping request for help with fundraising. And so we approached BSK to say, you know, we've noticed a lot of organizations are interested in fundraising these days, and BSK was interested in supporting, offering this workshop to all of the BSK organizations that are funded through BSK. So a survey went out to all BSK funded organizations and asking, what would you like to have in a fundraising course? And so these 2 sessions are set up based on the responses that you all gave to BSK about what would be the most helpful thing to learn about fundraising. So today's session is all about the message, and the next session next week is all about the components, the different ways, different strategies of raising money. So first, we'd like to introduce the amazing RHL Consulting team. So Jing, you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jing, and I am so happy to be here with you today and be part of the RHL Consulting team. I come to you with a background in politics, writing, and community outreach.
Thanks. Betsy?
Hi, everybody. Welcome and good morning. I'm Betsy, and I am a fundraiser, and I love it. And so I hope that you love it too. Have a wonderful webinar.
Thanks. Mamadou?
Hi, my name is Mamadou. I am the IT guy, so I have been doing IT for a big and small organizations, and I'm very happy to be with RHL to help all the nonprofits and have a good webinar.
Great. Thanks, team. And my name is Roxanne, and I think I learned most about fundraising when I was, some friends and I back in the 90s started a foundation to fund women's home-based businesses, women in Central America who were starting small in-home businesses. And we raised some money and decided to spend it out as quickly as we could. So I learned a lot from the women who we funded. They were remarkably brilliant and resourceful, and with small amounts of money did incredible work and for their families and for their communities. And one of the things that I learned from them was how important it is to thank your donors. And so because we want to be using the chat today and practice it, this is an opportunity for all of us to say thank you to BSK, because without them, we wouldn't all be here. So a quick in the chat, robust thank you to Georgie. who it can take the word back to the rest of the BSK team. And thanks, Georgie, for being here to represent BSK. And so if we would all take a moment to give our thanks, that's important. And then I want to say thank you to my grandmother, who I learned all things from, and to the women that we supported, who were running small businesses in Central America, who taught me a lot, and to the team at RHL Consulting, who without whom this wouldn't be half as fun or half as good. So thanks to all of you, and all of you on the call. Thank you to you for everything you're doing in the community. Without our robust nonprofits, things would be even harder in communities, and in particular when times are hard. In the last, like for example, in the last either, depending on how you see it, the last 2 years or the last 400 years, it's been hard here, and so without you all, it would be remarkably different. So thank you for all that you do every day. So today, it's all about the messaging. One of the things we heard from you all when we sent out the survey was that you really wanted to understand how to communicate with funders and how to talk to funders. So what we know is that in addition to needing to thank donors often and robustly, the message needs to be it was more powerful and more effective when it's given in particular ways. So today we're going to share with you the formulas for messaging with funders. So whether you're going to be writing a grant or creating an Instagram message, or whether you're making a video, or whether you're starting your annual appeal, however you utilize the information, the formula is basically the same. And so we're going to be using that formula today. Today's a working session. You're going to be writing your messaging. You're going to be practicing it. You're going to be put into groups several times so you can practice with one another. For those of you who already have a very succinct organizational message, and many of you do, then you might want to think about utilizing the time, since it's a working session, to practice for a particular program that you want to access funding for, or for a particular, maybe there's a new venture that you haven't tightened your messaging around yet. But I would encourage you to think about a particular, whether it's an organizational message or whether it's for a particular audience. I would encourage you to think about that and sort of work on that while we're working today, so that you walk away with something super useful to you. So our goals are to practice the formulas for your message, and also to forge relationships. When you're going into groups, you'll be in different groups with various people, and I encourage you to make some connections today as we go, because as we know, funding is all about relationships. And so here's our agenda. Here's how today is set up. There are 4 elements that go into your key message, your key messages. Core purpose: what makes you unique and different? What is it that you do that no one else can do, right? 3 is what is the action what is it you do in a really actionable, accessible, exciting language? What is it you do that matters? And then, and my phone didn't obey me when I said do not disturb, so that always happens. And then the 4th thing is the impact. What is it what difference are you creating in your community? So those 4 things all together create your message, and can result in an elevator pitch, an appeal, a request for funding. So the first hour today, and we're going to be moving fairly quickly to try to, because these all came up in the survey as things you wanted to accomplish. And so we're going to make that all happen in a compact way today. The second hour will be spent looking at the elevator pitch and the appeal and putting all the pieces together. Interestingly, you all come from a variety of different backgrounds, some executive directors, some board members, some program managers, some advocates, a whole host of some development professionals. So you represent a host of different roles within organizations. And so please, we ask that you make this work for you. Make sure that you're identifying what it is that would be most helpful for you to walk away with today and focus on that. And know that different people are going to be working on different things. If you don't know your organizational's message, or if it hasn't been honed and refined in the last 6 months, that might be what you're working on. Someone else might be working on a programmatic idea. So it's all good. It's all the same formula. So here's some agreements we want to offer. If you would take a second to read those and then give a thumbs up if it sounds like what you can agree to today. And if you would like to add anything, please add it in the chat.
Roxanne.
Jing.
Hi, I just also wanted to add that if any of you have any questions at all during this presentation, to go ahead and hit up Betsy in the chat with a question, and we will get back to you during the presentation.
Thanks, Betsy. And Mamadou will help anyone who would like to, because this is being recorded. If you would rather that your name was anonymous, you're welcome to change your name in your naming option, and Mamadou can help anyone rename if you'd like help with that. You could also add your pronouns. And so if anybody needs help with anything technology related, including naming, please reach out to Mamadou. There's also an opportunity for those of you just joining us to see live transcript, so that everything that's said ends up being read at the bottom of your screen. And you get to that by choosing, I think you go to more. Mamadou, is that right? You go to more and choose view full transcript.
Yeah. So at the bottom, there's an icon that says CC live transcript. You just click the up arrow and view shows subtitle. It's going to show the transcription.
Thank you. Okay, Betsy, anything in the chat or any questions that we should field first, or go right ahead? Okay.
Let's
So we're
continue.
gonna, all right, thanks. Just interrupt anytime with questions. So we're gonna jump into our first small groups. This is a very quick 2 minutes each, and you'll be in groups of 3. There'll be one group of 4. That group of 4 is gonna have to move a little more quickly than the others. You'll only have 2 minutes each. You will be self-timing. We're gonna start with the person whose birthday is closest to today. So you have to figure that out when you get together, and you'll introduce yourself, your role in your organization, tell people just a short bit about yourself, and then sell your organization. So this is the first practice in here's what I'm super excited about with our organization. And we're practicing as if we're talking to funders. So sell your organization. All right. Any questions? 2 minutes each. Have fun. See you in a few minutes. Thanks, Mamadou. Welcome back, everyone. One of the things that we'll be doing today is moving faster than we may want to, and I apologize for that. And there will be a time to continue to add to what you're working on. So as I mentioned earlier, there are 4 elements that we're going to be building today. The first is the core purpose. The second is your unique characteristic. What is it that makes your organization different than any other? So if your purpose is, for example, to teach every child to read by the time they're 7 years old, or if your core purpose is that all pregnant people have a healthy pregnancy and birth, or if your core purpose is to expand restorative justice options for BIPOC youth, that really seats you in no matter what our program is, we're not going to lose sight of our core purpose, of what makes it important that we exist. where you sit in your the solid who we are. And the uniqueness is the why you do this and better than anyone else. The funder has to fund you because you have this element that no one else has. Maybe it's I was thinking of the Purepecha speaking community and the Purepecha organization. No one else speaks Purepecha in Seattle area, but this organization does. Maybe it's because you're place-based in an area where the people live. Or perhaps it's that everybody on your staff are restorative justice experts. Right? What is it that makes you unique? So add that to your, that's the second element. First element, purpose. Second element, what is it that's special about you? Okay. Give us a thumbs up if you've thought of your unique characteristic, or if a thumb sideways of still thinking, really need to go back and talk to folks at the organization, or not really sure. Some of you might jumped out at you. Let's see a response from folks. Okay.
So I'm sorry, Roxanne, do you want us to talk or raise our
Not
hand?
yet. We're about to put you into small groups and you're going to talk to each other there.
Got it.
So let's pop into the small group. So what we're going to do is you'll be in groups of about 3 and you'll have 3 minutes each. So we're going to take a total of about 10 minutes in the groups, and there talk to people about your first 2 elements, the core purpose and your unique characteristic. And then ask for the feedback that's most helpful to you. We have incredible people on the call, people from a tremendous range of experiences and roles in the community. And so each group is seated with remarkable people, all of you. So ask for the feedback that's most useful. If you want feedback on, I'm not sure about my core purpose, help me think this through. Or if you want, what language could I use that would be a more powerful way of talking about this? If you want people to just tell you how awesome it is and how awesome your work is, ask for that. So really ask for the kind of feedback that is most useful to you. Again, this is a working session. This is for you to walk away with really useful work done. So Mamadou, thanks for getting everybody into a group. Core purpose, uniqueness. Enjoy. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So we were thinking it would be great for everyone as a means of introducing to the whole group, if you would put into the chat the name of your organization, if it's not already on your name tag, and 2 things, your core purpose in few words, and your unique attribute. So if you would drop those into the chat, name of the organization if it's not obvious, your core purpose, and your unique attribute. Into the chat, please, and then we can see. Who does how everyone's doing. So if we could just take a moment to everybody, you can use you can unmute and give a congratulations for everybody doing the hard work of the core purpose and unique attributes. And you could use under more, find your reactions and give people a shout out. Well done. And those of you still thinking, you can add to that as we go into the next section. So the two that we've done are core attribute and your uniqueness. And so we're going to layer onto that your action, what it is you do, and your impact, and be able to articulate those. Those the last two, the action and your impact, those are also what make up your mission statement. So Amir, gotta love the glasses. Thanks, man. The masked man with the mission impossible. We are ready for mission possible. So here's the deal with the 8-word mission statement. And this is something that mission statements have been studied robustly by Harvard Business School, by the Stanford Innovation Center, and by many others. And people, what they've been trying to understand with mission statements is, A, does it matter? And the answer is yes, it matters how you write your mission statement. And B, what makes a mission statement so compelling that your employees work harder and bring more to the table, that your community has a greater impact, that your funders are more likely to fund you and will fund you at higher levels. So it matters very much how you write your mission statement. And so here's the formula for the very best, most powerful mission statement. And I would recommend you use this anytime you create a mission statement, whether it's for your entire organization, whether it's for a small program. It doesn't matter. The formula is the same. And this is also the formula that is used in corporate America. So where the corporations that make the most money have also followed this formula. So here it is. There are two important elements. The action of what do you do, answering the question, what do you do? And what is your impact, the result? And Betsy's going to pop into the chat, and probably already has because Betsy's super efficient. A link. Yep, there it is, to mission examples. This was also sent out to you a week ago today with your invitation, this same mission examples document. And we're going to look at some examples together as well. But I want you to keep this in mind, two things. What's the action and what's the impact? So take a look at these examples. Here's one. This is the National Wildlife Federation. Inspire Americans. What do they do? The first part, their action is they inspire. They inspire who? They inspire Americans. So inspire is an awesomely powerful word. So note that. Note the power of the first word. Note that it's action oriented. Their action is to inspire. They inspire Americans. And what's their impact? Protect wildlife for our children's future. So it's just those two things. 9 words. The recommendation is that if a mission statement is longer than 8 words, it starts to become too long for anyone to remember, including staff, including board members, including stakeholders, including funders. They're like, I don't know, they do something that does something with, I don't know, they have a bunch of programs if they're too long, but 8 words or less is where the power is. 9 is fine, right? Black space, this is an important example because they also give us the third element, which is in the middle, and it's their population. And they did this because they wanted to be sure that there was no question for whom they were working. And they also were playing with the alliteration of having the word Black mentioned 3 times. There's the rhythm in that. We're from Black space. We amplify Black history, so Black people matter and thrive. You can feel the rhythm in that. So that's what they were playing with. By using the population name, by naming the population as well. Notice that if we go back to our formula, it's in the middle. What's the action? Who's your target population? For whom are you doing this? And what's your impact? I'm going to go back to the target population for 1 second and say that notice that, oh, no. Notice that it's optional, and most organizations don't use it. But as in the case with Black Space, they used it so that to change the rhythm of the mission statement. So it was very deliberate. And
Roxanne,
please,
if I may jump in here, I also noticed something that was very genius. And so, as an African American that comes from this community, you're talking about the cadence, right? The cadence, the rhythm. And if you've ever been to any, I'm not Christian, but I grew up in the church, and there's the cadence, the rhythm of the black pulpiteer, the speaker. And so reading this, in my mind, there's no doubt that the Black person wrote this. I thought that was important to tell you that.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Because
awesome.
it comes across as authentic because it takes me back to my roots and lets me remember, some of those things that are subtleties within the Black experience. So this is literally genius.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things that you're just bringing up, a beautiful way of saying, Amir, is that you want it to speak to your work and to who you are, so that it's not just a bunch of words on it, or a few words on a page, that your mission really elicits a feeling of knowing the community, or a feeling of, this is really, as you noted, Amir, this is really from the community. So in the way that, if there's a way you can also do that, that makes it more powerful. Here's another example that does a similar thing, and that's the Congolese Integration Network. They worked on this last year with our team, and they came up with educate, usher, and lead for a thriving community. So they have Congolese Integration Network in their name. So they felt as if it's not needed again in their, in the target population. But what's interesting is they have 4 main languages, as I understand it, in the Congo, and many others as well, but there are 4 primary languages. And so they, one of the specialties of their organization is they speak all of the languages of Congolese people. And they were looking for words that translated in all of those languages. So usher is not used very often in English, but it was a very powerful word in several of the languages that they use. So in usher, they knew that their community would see themselves. So similar to what Amir was saying, that there's the cadence and the rhythm in Black Space's mission statement, that Congolese Integration Network knew that their community would say, yes, they're speaking to us, when they would see the word usher. So important to somehow tie your who you are into your mission statement. Kiva is another good example of a powerful what you do. We connect people. And then what's our impact? Alleviating poverty. Notice that there's nothing about naming all of the programs in any of these. It's not about that. It's about what is the core of what you do and what the impact that you're making. So also notice these beautiful words that people are using: amplify, connect, educate, usher, and lead, inspire. And if you look at the example page that Betsy shared with you, you will see in all of those examples powerful first words. And so one of the things that we've learned about, that the research on mission statements has really brought forward, is that words like we support, we sit, we hear, are the passive words we use quite often in talking about our work, and that those really don't inspire funding the way that more powerful action verbs do. So I want you to think about that. So mission statement elements, I want you to think about something super simple, to the heart of things. And you want, when you say your mission, like you want to sit on the edge of your seat. I don't know about you all, but when I hear amplify Black history so Black people matter and thrive. Like, I want to stand up and say, yes, like this inspires me. Connect people through lending to alleviate poverty. I want to know more. How do you do that? Exactly what are you doing? Right? So what you want to do is evoke an emotion. So here are some words, some action words that you could think about. You can try to pull from. And impact, think about as a separate, like, what's happening in the community thanks to you, right? Action, impact. So what I'd like you to do is you're going to spend a few minutes, 7 minutes, with yourself making notes. Betsy, could you share unless you already have, can you share the other document that has samples, that's sort of our word bank for action and a word bank? It's one document, a word bank for both action and impact. And then people can work from that document if you'd like, pull from ideas, add to it, add your good ideas. It's just a very beginning of a word bank so that people can build on it. And then think about how to super concisely, you don't have to have a finished mission statement if you, by the end of this time, but really to think about making more concise and more exciting your mission statement. The other thing I would say is if you already have, like EACS already has a really powerful, awesome mission statement, if you already have that, then you might want to spend this time on another program. If you have brought with you your mission statement from your organization and you want to look at it, I would encourage you to go through it and put a box around all of the action words. See what kind of action words are already in there. You might have some beautiful action words in your current mission statement buried somewhere. They also might be at the beginning and ready to go. And then I would have you underline your impact for the community. Is it in there, and what is it? And is it really the core impact, the most important impact that you make?
Roxanne, I just wanted to add that we recognize that everyone is in different places and we want to meet them where they're at. So, and we recognize that their time is precious. I mean, you've got a lot on your plate, and this 2.5 hours is your opportunity to get some work done, right? So some of you may not have a mission statement, and that's okay. And some of you may have one, and maybe it's old and needs a lot of work. And frankly, sometimes it's easier to start from scratch instead of trying to save it. Or maybe you have one that the board loves, but the ED and the staff think it's really out of touch. And some of you may have a really great mission statement that needs a few tweaks, and maybe Amir's going to take that word amplify and plug it into their mission statement. And some of you may have a mission statement that just nails what you're doing and the changes that you're making in your community. But so regardless of where you're at with your mission statement, we're here to support you. So if you need any input, or if you have any questions, please let Betsy know in the chat, and one of us will pop in and help.
Thanks, Jean.
Sure.
All right, so you have 7 minutes to, well, actually, yeah, 7 minutes of individual think time, and to articulate or to find in your current mission statement those two elements of action and impact. And then we're going to pop into small groups, and you can share that with small groups. So this is your time to really utilize the word bank and utilize the examples to really pop the language, and also to tie it to your community in some way.
Roxanne, hi, this is Roxanne and/or your colleagues on the, I almost said on the phone, on the line, on the whatever this is, on the Zoom. It occurred to me, like for most of us, like I sat in, I had the privilege, because Manira, my ED, is just literally awesome like that. The staff sat in with the board of directors. You remember, Roxanne? I think you remember. And we created the mission statement. So a lot of the mission statement is oftentimes going to be above our pay grade, as it were, in terms of getting it done, unless we have EDs and board members on the call. But something occurred to me. I wanted to ask the professionals, like, is it appropriate to have mission or submission statements for programs? I never thought of that.
Yeah, it really is, and it's super useful. So because sometimes, I mean, you absolutely have to have one for the organization as a whole, right? And you're right. I fondly remember that weekend with your whole board where you all came up with a phenomenal mission statement, Amir. And so yes, you have to have one for the full org. If you don't have it, or if you aren't sure, or if it's outdated, pay attention to the formula, take it back to your ED and your and talk about the importance of revising the mission statement. However, if you're at a program level and you don't have a clear mission for your program, or if you have, for whatever reason, you're starting a new program and you haven't taken the time to really hone in the language, it matters, because as you are looking for any kind of support for your work, whether it's support from within the organization, or support from funders, or support from volunteers, if you can deliver an 8-word mission statement about why this is what you're doing and the impact it has, you will find more support. It matters. So yes, absolutely, at the program level. I actually think it's a good idea to do it within families, and with like, what's our mission as a family? Okay, that's how far I take it, but that's just me. Okay, 7 minutes to work on this, and then we're going to pop into small groups, and you will share with your small groups your mission statement and ask for the kind of feedback you want. And I'll tell you more about that in 7 minutes, but 7 minutes of work time. If you need us, reach out. Welcome back, everyone. So, how did it go?
It was fantastic. I mean, I don't remember what we were supposed to go in there to do, but it turned out to be precisely what our group needed around messaging, in terms of, like, for example, anti-racism. What is the pragmatic implications of having an anti-racist organizational ideology? And then having to deal with dominant culture funders who may not be progressive, or who are not as progressive as they think they are. And so you have your mission statements, programmatic and organizational, and you have your values, and then you have a need to make sure your families can sustain themselves, but your values may not allow you to get the money that the families need to sustain themselves. So the mission statement piece is just like nerve-wracking, because you're trying to anticipate who you're talking to, but you're talking to everybody, but you're also, I'm sorry. Yeah, there it is.
So what'd y'all decide? What's how do you respond to that?
Kelly and Tanya?
I mean, that's at the heart of things, right? That Matt, what you're bringing up is everything.
In there, team member, can I jump in there? I talk a lot, so I'm trying to be quiet.
So one thing that we were talking about was just feeling like you have to straddle both worlds and be true to our mission and serving our community, while also checking the boxes and existing within these deeply entrenched systems, and that can be a little bit of a struggle. Yeah. Yeah.
I talked about, like, I'm sorry, this notion of Black joy that we have heard in this moment of consciousness around Black lives. So as Black people, we hear this term all the time, this notion of Black joy. How do we surface it? What does it look like? But in an ideal world, I would love to be able to use the phraseology Black joy in a programmatic statement, mission statement, but I would be afraid to do it because of the socio-political implications. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that, because funding is relational, funders give to organizations that they feel some kind of connection to, or some kind of, some kind of relationship with. And once you have a relationship with a funder, you reach out to them to thank them. You reach out to them to tell them what's new. You reach out to them to tell them about the impact that they're making, right? And you deepen that relationship. And then I think it provides that opportunity for them to learn from you, right? Ideally, you have a relationship with, let's say it's social venture partners. Let's say that they're funding you, and they want to know, they want to get better, right? They want to be more aware of, they want to be more anti-racist, and may or may not know how to go about doing that. So I think the role of the nonprofit as teacher is vital. Our systems can't get better without learning from people in community that know it and live it. And so I would hope, Amir, that there's an opportunity, at least with some of your funders, to talk about Black joy, right? To bring on the full joy that is in the community.
So the last comment, and I will step back, is that the pre-relationship reality of trying to solicit and trying to get funders, when you're being authentic to when you're being brazenly committed to your most authentic self, are we missing something? Is there a trade-off? Is there an opportunity cost for being authentic? There it is. Because some people are not going to fund people who have the audacity to talk about Black lives or Black joy. And I'll leave it there because there's more people here than me.
I kind of want to chime in with that. I definitely agree. I just shared with my team, like I've only been in the state of Washington for like 30 days, literally. I'm coming from.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Clyde Williams from Safe Futures, by the way, the project manager. Thank you. I appreciate that. And like coming from New York, entire East Coast, and since I've been here, I'm definitely seeing the differences of that. I guess the way that it's being introduced. And I thank you. And speaking about it, like in New York, it's a lot more diverse in African community and brown. So when you're talking about these programs and the mission statements, you can probably be unapologetic about where you represent. And here, the language has to be a little bit more different. But I am enjoying the diversity. Like just to jump into what we were dealing with in my group, we kind of talked about how difficult it was to put everything that we do in such a small, condensed state of a period without losing your identity. So, if I was going to speak to these people to the left in our screen, like I definitely wanted to mention everything that we do, but I would definitely want to let them know that we're diverse and we are a full-on community center with the array of services, and I think that would be the difficulties. But Amir, thank you for sharing that, because that just brought that to my attention.
Mm-hmm. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Also, Michelle has a hand raised. Michelle, do you want to pop in here?
Yeah, I just want to say that, fundraising is marketing. And in all of marketing, you have to establish your niche. And you're going to have your conversations with the people who want to have conversations with you. And I think that the more you represent who you are authentically, the more you're going to attract the people who are most passionate about wanting to fund you. And so dumbing down who we are or changing doesn't honor who we are and what we can ultimately be as a community. So I would encourage you to promote Black joy and really embrace it. I'm unapologetically in favor of that.
Thanks, Michelle.
Hi, group. Jessica had a great question in the chat, and I thought we'd address that before we move on to the elevator pitch section. And Jessica was wondering if we could speak to the difference between the mission statement and a vision statement. And of course, in the interest of time, that's why we chose to address core purpose and uniqueness. But basically the difference between the mission statement and the vision statement, Roxanne talked about the mission statement being what you do and your impact. The vision statement is what you see in the future. What do you see 20 years ago? It's something where I actually close my eyes when I think about what is my vision. And again, it's very, very short. So it could be everyone can read. It could be clean water for all. It could be every child goes to college. Every kid is in college. Everybody matters. That's the difference between your mission statement and your vision. Mission being what you do and your impact. Vision, what you see in the future.
And by vision, you're talking about core purpose, as we were calling core purpose earlier today, right? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so a couple of things. One, before we transition to the next segment, which Jing is going to take. The stuff that we've worked on, those 4 elements, will come to be useful again and again, whether you're writing an appeal, whether you're writing a letter to the editor, whether you're talking with a funder that you meet on Zoom. These are going to be the elements that you want to keep handy and keep working on as you go. Of course, you're going to have lots of opportunity to expand it, but you also want the concise form. Okay, we're going to take 2 minutes, stand, stretch, get yourself a tea, a cup of water, and then Jing is going to pull it all together for the pitch.
What makes you unique? Okay, next. So what you do to accomplish your core purpose is the action part of your mission. So what programs do you offer to help empower the people in your community? Protect wildlife and their habitat, or increase college access and graduation rates. This is the action part of your mission. Why you do it is your core purpose, your raison d'etre, the why, your reason for being, why the people you serve need you. And if you have a vision statement, this is helpful. When you close your eyes and see the future, what do you see? What change you create? This is the impact part of your mission statement. What challenges have you solved or are currently taking on? How do you change people's lives? Details, details, details. So for example, this past winter, we partnered with other local nonprofits to vaccinate over 2,500 Rainier Valley residents age 65 plus against COVID-19. Call to action, or the ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. So really think about what kind of response you want from this pitch or appeal. I'd love to tell you more. Let's make an appointment or a date for coffee. Come visit us so you can see for yourself. Ask for a donation. Do you want contact information or an appointment to make a presentation? Do you want the listener to make a donation or volunteer, or refer you to their foundation's program officer? Okay, we're going to move to the pitch elements, and these embody the wisdom that less is more, that you will have opportunities to add more depending on the space you're given and the conversations you have. But this is about concise, sparing, and genuine communicating. So grabbing their attention, it can be a statistic about your impact. It could be a current news article in the South Seattle Emerald about an issue related to your work. It could be a compelling experience from the people you serve. You want to get the attention of the funder, and this is about getting the listener hooked early on. Potency and focus, crisp, punchy language, rich examples, laser focus on what you want to say so you can get to your why you're having this conversation in the first place. It's sparing, saturated, and this is not the time for jargon or acronyms. Sound natural, sound like you. Today, you may be writing your pitch to be read or to be heard, and there is a difference, but either way, you want to sound like you. You want to sound genuine. You don't want to sound like a robot or someone reading their graduate school thesis. You want to take your time. You don't want to read in a rush, like you're trying to cram 4 minutes of talking into 2 minutes. Be aware of the context. The information may be the same, but it's communicated differently depending on where you're talking and who you're talking to. Instagram, Facebook language is shorter and punchier than a response to an RFP. An email letter will have more fleshed out language than a Zoom or an in-person meeting at a coffee shop with outdoor seating and hopefully a heat lamp. So what's going to happen now is you're going to draft your pitch. You're going to have some quiet time, and you're going to think about who your target audience is going to be. It may be a program officer. It may be someone who is at a big foundation. But either way, figure out who your target audience is. You're going to think of a hook or something to grab their attention. Again, you're going to refer to the work that you had done in the first half of the session, your core purpose, your uniqueness, your mission, what you do, your impact. And lastly, you're going to think about your ask. And in your closing, when you're putting together your elevator pitch, and I'll tell you a second why they call it an elevator pitch, you want the conversation to close pleasantly, kindly, but really upbeat. Just a quick aside, you'll hear the word 30-second elevator pitch, and that whole thing came about because that was about the time it took to ride up in the elevator with the person that you really wanted to speak to. So that's why they call it the elevator pitch. Things are different now these days, but 30 seconds is great. When you're going into your quiet time, this will probably be more than up to 2 minutes, but really go for less is more. So we're going to have some quiet time now, up to 12 minutes. Bring up all the things, your mission statement, your core purpose, your uniqueness, and get to work. And we'll be, if you need some help, be sure to flag Betsy or Mamadou, and we can pop into your, to have a conversation. We're going to give you a chance to practice your pitch and also to be an active listener so you can give constructive feedback. So when you're saying your pitch, please let the person know who's your targeted audience, and come up with your ask or your close. Try not to rush, have it flow together as best you can, and channel your passion in your own voice. So Mamadou's going to put you into breakout rooms now. And again, the feedback is also centered on the question, do I have an understanding of what you do, who you do it for, why you do it, and do I want to hear any more? And again, 3 pluses and a wish. Have fun in there.
All right, awesome. So next week is going to be super fun. It's going to be all about the fundraising strategies. So you can bring your core purpose, vision, action, impact, and mission and elevator pitch. And then we are going to figure out how we're going to mold those into things for individual giving and donor retention and your year-end fundraising. And some peer-to-peer fundraising. So we're all going to wrap up all of these different things into a calendar, which is going to be super fun. So you know what's going to be happening, you know how to prioritize your to-do list. And a special gift from BSK is that next week, you're going to also have the opportunity to sign up for 1 hour of customized grant prospecting. So what that means is that for 1 hour, I will conduct specific research for you on a specific project or general operating, and provide you with a list of potential funders, specific grant opportunities, and their deadlines. So you can look at them and prioritize for the coming year, for 2022. And I'll also teach you a little bit on how to do that on your own if you decide not to do that right away. So I hope to see you next week. It's going to be really fun. And thank you for coming today.